All right. Hey, y'all, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Please come in. Please come in. All right. Please come in. Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. Share this as you come in. All right. That's it. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Sister Mayida, God bless you. Sister Tiffany, bless you, dear. Share this. Share this. Share this. Come on in. Come on in. And I will make this correction while y'all are coming in. Hope y'all had a great day today. Hope y'all had a great day today. Come on here. There we go. Amen. This day went by quick for me. I really believe that it went by quick. All right. We're still in the book of Psalms for this Bible study. Amen. Good evening, Sister Tiffany, Sister Sierra. Bless you, dear. Y'all come on in. Come on, let's get some more people on here tonight. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey there, First Lady. God bless you. Y'all come on in. Still in the book of Psalms. This is I think Sunday I made the mistake of saying this is our third sermon, or third lesson in the book of Psalms, but I was so wrong. This is our 1, 2, 3, 4. I just kind of lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our seventh. This is our 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is actually our 6th lesson in the book of Psalms. All right. And so we're in the book of Psalms. We're coming from Psalms 144. Then I'm going to jump into something I started last week. And I may do that first just for clarity because I don't want you to be confused. I want you to have clarity. Hey, Sister Ronell, Deacon Sanders, Brother Shelton, God bless you. Sister Broadnax, bless you, dear. Amen. The fairest of them all, Miss Love. Hey, Joanna. I think that's Joanna. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's Joanna. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's Joanna. Brother Green, God bless you. Kissack, Sister Allen. Yes, Tiffany, we are having New Year's Eve service. It's funny you would ask that because First Lady and I was just discussing that last night. And so I'm trying to figure out the logistics of how we're going to do it. And then I will let you know when I find out. All right. Started working on something today and thinking about how we're going to make that happen on the 31st for watch night service. Thank you, David. Yeah, that's Joanna. I was like, who's the fairest of them all? I can never remember all these different. And I'm sorry if I gave away your alias, but everybody know now. Oh, that's just Joanna. All right, let's get into this word. The other week, I think it was last week, when we taught on forgiveness. For those of you this is your first time coming on in a while, we're in the book of Psalms, and I'm teaching on the 5 themes from the book of Psalms. There are 5 themes from the book of Psalms. First one is thankfulness. We talked about that the week after Thanksgiving. And then last week we talked about forgiveness. And then this week we talked about God's power. Okay. Then the other 2 are trust and praise. Okay. Let me say that again. Number 1, we talked about thankfulness. Number 2, we dealt with forgiveness. This week we dealt with dealing with God's power. And then trust and praise. Those are the 5 themes that come out of the book of Psalms. In every psalm, there's 1 or 2, sometimes maybe even 3 of those themes in the book of Psalms. Okay? And last week when I taught on forgiveness, we was dealing with David's slip up when he had slept with Bathsheba. But in that, I started talking about the different kinds or levels of sin, and in that I don't want to confuse you, and so I want to just kind of make it a little more clear because I didn't want to get too deep into it last week. Go to Psalms 51 real quick, and I'll show you what we talked about last week. Psalms 51. Psalms 51, it says, verse 1, it reads like this. It says, "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitudes of thy tender mercies." He said, "Blot out my transgressions." That's number 1, underline transgressions. "Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity," underline iniquity, "and cleanse me from my sin," underline sin. So you got transgressions, you got iniquity, and you got sin. I want to just explain that more than what I did last week. In verse 3, he said, "For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me." He said, "Against thee and thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightst be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest." Okay. Verse 5, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity." See that word again? Iniquity. "And in sin did my mother conceive me." Okay. So let's talk about this. There's sin, there's transgression, and there's iniquity. Sin. Now, first of all, before let me do this. First of all, sin is still sin. Sin is still falling short of the glory of God. In fact, the very definition of sin is missing the mark. Okay, it gives you the illustration of someone shooting an arrow to a target and missing the target. Okay, it gives you that. It's like the arrow is bent some kind of way, and no matter how straight you shoot it, it keeps missing the mark because it's not going straight. And that's what sin looks like, S-I-N. That's what sin looks like. Sin is missing the mark. So I don't want you to get it mixed up. Sin is still sin. Sin is still falling short of the glory of God. But what I want to explain is that there are increasing levels of falling short. Okay? There are increasing levels of falling short of the glory of God. Can I help somebody tonight? Okay? I need y'all to work with me. Okay? So Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So sin is slipping away from where you should be. Slipping away from where you should be. Another definition is failing to achieve a standard that God has set. Failing to achieve a standard that God has set. Missing the mark. Missing the mark. Missing the mark. Okay. The definition, the meaning of transgression, is willful deviation from and therefore rebellion against the path of godly living. Okay? Or let's put it this way, willful deviation from or rebellion against the path of godly living. Or let's put it this way, to go beyond overstepping the limits. You just out there. You don't care what nobody say. You're just out there. That's transgression. Okay? Transgression is more powerful than sin, and it is a step to more permanent bondage or stronghold. Transgression is connected to that word trespass, which is a willful violation of a law. You don't care that you're not supposed to do it, you just do it. Okay. I know I know I shouldn't be out here, but God, that looks good over there. Let me go over there. That's transgression. That's what David did when he overstepped his line by calling Bathsheba over to his palace. Remember, Bathsheba was on another whole building, and David saw her taking a bath on the roof, on top of her building. David saw her, and he overstepped his line. How did he overstep, Pastor? Because he asked one of his soldiers, who is that? And the soldier said, that's Uriah's wife. And David should have stopped right there. But David decided that he was going to overstep his boundary and go where he shouldn't have gone. And he immediately beckoned for Bathsheba to come to his place. She wasn't going to disobey. Why? Because he was the king. And him being the king, not just being the king, but he was also a servant of God. He was the king and the servant of God, and he overstepped his boundaries when he decided to send for Bathsheba. Okay, so that's transgression. That's transgression. For those of y'all that just came on, we're in Psalms 51. We're just explaining the levels of sin. Sin is sin, but there are levels. There's sin, S-I-N, there's transgression, and there's iniquity. Found right there in the first two verses of Psalms 51, you find sin, transgression, and iniquity. And so just an explanation of where they are. So it's not that one sin is worse than another sin, or that we can put levels on sin. This is just an explanation of of not necessarily levels, but ways or forms or however you want to name it, because I don't want you to dare think as you look at this and watch this tonight. I don't want you to get to to be a person of judgment that think that one sin outweighs another sin. Sin is just sin. Sin is just sin. Water is still water, no matter how you look at it. It can be dirty water, clean water, filthy water, but it's still water. Okay? So sin is still sin, S-I-N. Okay? So as we look here, sin is missing the mark. You missed the mark. Transgression is when you decide to overstep your boundary, when you decide to go where you're not supposed to go, or when you decide to cross the line. Just remember, as little kids, you used to tell people, I dare you to cross this line. That's what you do when you decide in transgression to do something that you know that you're not supposed to be or not supposed to step into. Okay? And then that word iniquity is the strongest sin. It is perversion. It is evil. This sin is the sin that you do when you repeatedly go against the knowledge of God. Okay? When you just totally in your flesh. Because the flesh wants what the flesh wants. And Pastor, I don't care. My flesh wants what it wants. All of us have to, at some point, put our fleshly desires under subjection. Either you let your flesh rule you, or you rule it. It's the same thing that goes, it's the same kind of willful disobedience when you, for those of us who struggle with eating and overeating and can't get on a diet. We have no willpower. We just choose to just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. This is what iniquity looks like. Iniquity is when you allow your flesh to control you. That's iniquity. That's evil. That's perversion. That's when you allow the flesh to take control. This is the way high blood pressure, alcoholism, sexual perversions, jealousy, anger, fear. This is the kind of stuff that is passed on from generation to generation. This is how racism is spread from one generation to the next. Greed, idolatry, it runs in families. Iniquity, it bows down to the flesh instead of standing up to the flesh and saying no. Because your flesh, believe it or not, your flesh is spoiled rotten. God, I just said something and y'all not talking to me tonight. I need y'all to talk to me tonight because you may not like this, but before we go on Christmas break, you're going to do better for 2021. Okay? Your flesh is spoiled rotten. Well, Pastor, why would you say that? Because your flesh, my flesh, his flesh, her flesh is used to getting what it wants. And when you tell that flesh no, you develop what we call cravings. God, I know I'm talking tonight. You develop cravings. It's like because you telling the flesh no, your flesh is having this itch that I need what I said I wanted. And y'all, you have to keep your flesh under subjection, or you will fall into iniquity. This is why so much perversion is in the world. So much perversion is in families and from generation to generation, because nobody decided to put their flesh under subjection. What happens in this house stays in this house. Nobody wanted to confront it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. Well, that's just Uncle Bill. That's just Uncle. That's the way he is. That's just Auntie. That's the way she is. No, wrong is wrong. And you're going to have those generational curses going from one generation to another, to another, to another. At some point, somebody ought to say, let's break the curse. Iniquity. Iniquity. Okay. And what happens is when you talk about iniquity, what it does is, let me tell you this, it signifies not just that it is wrong, but the tendency to do it anyway. I know this ain't right. I know I ain't got no business looking at this porn, but it entices my flesh. I know I shouldn't be eating this whole box of chocolate, but it entices my flesh. I know I shouldn't be thinking about another man's wife or another woman's husband, but my flesh wants what it wants. That's the kind of thinking that happens when you fall into iniquity. Okay, when you get that iniquity spirit on you, listen, you're fighting a stronghold, and the only reason why it became that was because you kept feeding it. Oh God, you kept feeding it. I wasn't trying to be on this long, but somebody need to hear this tonight. You kept feeding your wrong. You kept feeding your stuff. That's what happened with David in Psalm 51. David was such a woman's man. He was such a man that loved women. Now, mind you, he already had women in the palace, but that wasn't enough, because he didn't have her. And her is who he wanted. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. This is how so many relationships are ruined, because you can have the best thing in the house and it still won't be enough. It's just like okay. It's just like how many of y'all remember when Eric Benet was married to Halle Berry? Now, Halle Berry was every man's dream. Can I get a witness? Halle Berry, fine to the bone, nice shape, nice everything, just gorgeous. But it quickly became revealed when and I don't remember if they were married or they lived together. I don't remember that piece of it, but it was revealed that they had broken up because Halle was not enough for Eric. And Eric came out and said that he was a sex addict. His flesh was never satisfied with just Halle. And many of us convicted Eric and said, man, what is wrong? you had Halle Berry, dog. Do you realize who's in your house? You got the best thing that everybody wanted. But when the flesh falls into iniquity and that flesh starts taking control, guess what? One woman, no matter how fine she is, no matter how good she cooks, no matter how well she takes care of you, no matter, for women, no matter how good he takes care of you, no matter that he gives you money after money after, if your flesh ain't satisfied, that person will never be enough. I know I'm preaching to somebody tonight. I know I'm helping somebody. Okay? So when you're looking at iniquity, iniquity revolves around these kinds of attitudes. Iniquity revolves around people that deal with a racist heart, people that deal with idolatry, unrighteousness. This is iniquity, covetousness, because racism, what racism centers around, I don't want another race to appear or to try to catch up with what I have. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose what I have. And I don't want another race to get the same advantage as me, or I'm gonna lose out. That's what racism centers around. Because somebody of another race, let me just say it, somebody white is afraid that black people or Latino people or Asian people are going to be able to have the same benefits and the same, to live in the same neighborhood and to work and make the same amount of money and more money. They're afraid of losing. That's what racism centers around. Idolatry, this is iniquity. All of it is flesh-centered. Idolatry. When you're looking at idolatry, it's flesh-centered. When you're looking at covetousness, it's flesh-centered. It's in the mind because it looked like somebody have more than I have, or they're gaining on me, or they're passing me. It's all flesh-centered. Wickedness, lawlessness is all flesh-centered. And so, people of God, you have to be careful. Okay, let me move on. Iniquity is an attitude, so it cannot just be covered by the blood, but iniquity must be taken away and replaced. Look at Isaiah 53 and 5. Isaiah 53 and 5. 53 and 5, it says, he was bruised for our iniquities. Iniquities, they are not on the outside, but it's on the inside. Bruises and iniquities have to be healed by the blood, not just covered by the blood, but healed by the blood. God, I'm preaching tonight. I hope y'all would get this. I hope y'all would get this tonight. Hope y'all would get this. 53 verse 5, it says, he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. And so when we're looking at these three things, sin, transgressions, and iniquity. Sin deals with the soul. Transgressions deal with the body, but iniquity deals with the spirit. Soul, body, spirit. Sin is the soul. You ever hear us say we got a sin-sick soul? Then transgressions is the body. And then iniquity is the spirit. Okay. And so these things, these are some of the things. If you got any questions, please let me know. Please let me know. And so when you're looking at those things, I just want to explain those things to you. But the thing that we have to also realize, and going back to our current lesson in Psalms 144, is that God is able to give us strength to be able to withhold and withstand our sin problem, our transgression problem, and our iniquity issue. Okay? All of us have sinned and fallen short. My brothers and sisters, don't you ever get to a point where you think that just because you lied and then somebody else robbed a car, that my sin ain't as bad as theirs. It's still sin. A gossiper is still sin. A liar is still sin. Well, at least I didn't kill nobody. I ain't a murderer. You killed them with your gossip. You killed their reputation. You killed their name. Come on now. Am I helping somebody in here? Okay. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful because I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Stop. You can't compare. Don't compare to somebody else. Look in the mirror. Sweep around your own front door. Okay? Look in the mirror. Don't you dare try to compare what you've done to what somebody else did. Look in the mirror. Amen? All right. Because I don't ever want you to think that one is better. God ain't gonna give you grades on sin. Okay, you lied, so you get a B. Oh, you murdered, so you get an A. You just gossiped a little bit, so I'm gonna give you a B. You coveted after somebody else's property. I'm gonna give you a C. That's not how it works. When we stand before God, guess what? Sin is still sin. He's going to judge us by our works. He judges us by the fruit. A tree is known by the fruit it bears. So what kind of tree are you? What kind of tree are you? Huh? That's the question you need to ask tonight. What am I? What kind of fruit am I? Okay, let's go to Psalms 144. Psalms 144. Okay. Okay. So understand, all have sinned and come short. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. Psalms 144, verse 1. Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. This is what I want to talk about tonight. When we look at this, I want to look at those 5 things right there in verse 2. Because what David is saying here, this is the psalm, one of the psalms that David wrote after he defeated Goliath. After he defeated Goliath, he wrote this psalms. And in verse 2, he said everything that we ought to say when God allows us to have the victory. He said, God is my goodness, my fortress, my high tower, my deliverer, and my shield. Okay? Understand. Even if we go back to what happened in Psalms 51, when God gave David the victory, when he forgave David, when he punished him, when David said in that verse in Psalms 51 verse 10, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. But then he said in verse 11, restore unto me the joy of my salvation. Okay. God is a restorer. And so when God restores, guess what? You can go right here to Psalm 144, verse 2. He is good. He's still a good God. He's a good God. He's a merciful God. During this Christmas season, during this pandemic, how many of you can really testify that God is still been good? God is still good. He is still an awesome God. And an awesome God deserves an awesome praise. Okay? He is my goodness. He's been good to me. So good. He's been good. You know how I know he's been good? Because I'm still here. That's what you ought to say tonight. I'm still here. I'm still here. That's how I know God's been good. Because I'm still here. Yeah. I got my right mind. I'm still here. I may walk a little slower. My eyes may be getting dimmer, but guess what? I'm still here. That ought to be your testimony tonight. He's a good God, and he's good because I'm still here. Yeah, he didn't have to wake you up this morning. He didn't have to start you on your way. He didn't have to give you your health and strength. He didn't have to put food on your table. He didn't have to allow you to pay your bills. God is still good. Okay? So he's my goodness. But then this is what I love right here. He's my fortress. That's what David said. He said, he's my fortress. And I can be just like David and say, the Lord is my fortress. What do you mean? He built a fence around me. He protected me. He kept the enemies off of me. He kept them out of my territory. He's my fortress. God, he's my fortress. He's my fortress. He encamped himself around me. He built a circle around me to keep me from getting out and keep the enemy from coming in. My God. You have to think of it. You have to think of fortress just like your door at your house, the door at your house. There was a time in some cities, in some areas, where you could keep your door open all night and nobody would bother you. That was back then. We don't live in that time now. There was a time when you could keep your windows open all night to get a cool breeze because your house didn't have AC. You only had the air that came from the fresh air of God. But you can't do that now. That's not the time we live in. And so, but now you have to look at yourself. Your house is your fortress because God allowed you to have a front door and a back door. And that front door and back door keeps the enemy from coming in. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. He keeps the enemy. Lord, thank you. He's my fortress. How many of y'all know that the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy? But God is your fortress. Thank you, Holy Ghost. God is my fortress. He protects me from the hands of the enemy. He keeps the fowler away. Yes, God. He keeps it away from me. He's my fortress. But then thirdly, he's my high tower. He's my high tower. So when the enemy tries to come from above, guess what? I already got somebody there protecting me. See, my fortress is below, but my high tower is up there. And my high tower sits higher than whatever the enemy may be situated or positioned. And so you can't catch God by surprise. You know why? Because he sits higher than your enemy. Lord, I thank you. He's my high tower. He's my high tower. Lord, I thank you. He's my high tower. So he watches over me below, but he also watches from above. Ain't that good news tonight? Ain't that good news? Ain't that good news? But then fourthly, I'm rushing through here. He's my deliverer. As we go through this season, as the season that's approaching, Christmas celebration, there are many folk that feel stuck. They feel stuck. They feel like that there's no way out. They feel like that this is a depressing time. They feel lonely. They feel lonely and lowly. They feel like that they can't get out of this place. But I come to tell you tonight that wherever you are, God is a deliverer, and he can bring you out of that depression. He can bring you out of that lonely feeling. He can bring you out of that low place. He can bring you out. He can deliver you. He can deliver you. There is nothing. Can I just minister to somebody for a minute? Listen, there is nothing too hard for God. And no matter what place you are in life, listen, no matter how hard it's been, God is still our deliverer. And I thank God because many folk have died during this year. Many folk have passed away during this year. Many folk have lost this year. Many folk have lost property, lost homes, lost jobs, lost their finances and their resources. But you know what? Even in that, God can still deliver you. Yes, he can. I just want to encourage you right now. God can still deliver you. There is nothing too hard for God. He declared in his word in Matthew 28, he said, you know what? And I want you to put your name right here in Matthew 28, verses 19 and 20. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Come on, put your name right there and say, Phil, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Come on, do that. Put your name right there. Phil, I'll never leave you or forsake you, but I'll be with you even to the end. Come on, do that again. Somebody needed to hear that. He said, I'll never leave you. Phil, I'll never leave you. I'll never leave you. Child of God, I'll never leave you. Servant, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. He said, but I'll be with you even to the end of this age. And listen, COVID don't have nothing on the power of God. Coronavirus has nothing on the power of God. There is nothing too hard for God. I just want to tell you that tonight, okay? His strength is made perfect. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. His strength is made perfect even in our weakness. And that's reason to celebrate tonight. Because when we're at our weakest, guess what? He gives us strength. Lord, I thank you. Okay? And so he's our deliverer. He delivered David from the hands of Goliath by using just a slingshot. Come on, y'all. Y'all know that don't make any sense. Y'all know that don't make any sense at all. That David was able to defeat Goliath with just a slingshot. But when you put that slingshot in the hands of God, God put another power behind that rock that it took Goliath out. Yes, 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 yes. God delivered David from the hands of Goliath with just a slingshot. Why? Because when you put a slingshot in the hands of God, he put enough power to take out the giant. He delivered him. That's why David said, Lord, I thank you because you are my deliverer. But then fifthly, he said, you're my shield. So not only do he surrounds us, he's our fortress, he's our high tower, he's above us, but he's also goes before us. He's our shield. He's our shield. You know, you put a shield in front of you for protection. And so he protects me from the fiery darts of the enemy. Lord, I thank you. Well, listen, thank you all so much for being with us tonight. Lord, I thank you. Glory, glory. I don't want to get caught up tonight. Not tonight, not tonight, not tonight, not tonight. Come back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Meet us here tomorrow at 7. I love you guys. I love y'all. Listen, I announced it last week. I'm going to say it again today. This is be our last week before taking a break for the holiday season, so I can recharge and listen to God for a while, just to see what direction we're going in for 2021, because the things I may have had planned, God is changing a whole lot of stuff, but it's good stuff, okay? And so pray for me, pray for the church, pray for our ministry, continue to pray for my wife, and pray for one another. I want to say this before I leave. Thank you to all of our seniors that came on our call. We had a Zoom call on Sunday after service, and it was a great call. And I want to thank all of my seniors that was able to come on, and we're going to be doing that again soon. We'll be doing it with other auxiliaries as well. Just checking in, just to hear your voice and to see your face. But one thing I'm going to do for the seniors next time is that we're going to do a conference call, because I understand that everybody don't have a Zoom capabilities on their phones. And so we're going to take that into consideration for the next time. All right. I love you guys. Support us financially. Please support us financially, particularly in December and January, because I know it's the holiday season, but these bills don't take a break. All right. I love y'all, and we'll see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless you. Love you.